Welcome to the DCS Focus on Cine Lenses from the buyer's point of view. We started hosting this event about 20 years ago, and I'm a cinematographer, and it's always been very interesting to me because increasingly the control of the look has been passed on past the DP. It's been controlled in post, but lenses are a way you can bake in your look, and I like that. I'm also a Cine Lens investor, and they're very expensive, but they have been a good investment for me, and they seem to hold their value a lot more than cameras that they switch out every couple of years, and you know, if you have one that's 2 or 3 years old, it's a complete dinosaur. But there's so many complications, so many options that you have now that it's become very complicated. So we try to get people here, some of the leading companies in town, and so you can find out what's new and ask questions. We want to find out how we can choose lenses to create our signature look, but also have versatility so we can cover all these different kinds of cameras and use cases. So let me introduce our panel. They're in alphabetical order. And we also have Mathew Duclos from Duclos Lenses, premier expert on lenses. And you can get all these lenses, by the way, from Duclos Lenses. We have Daniel Band representing Angénieux. We have Art Adams from ARRI. We have Paul Hochshurst from Canon. Scott Testerman from Fujinon, or Fujifilm, I guess I should say. Stephen Neff from Laowa. Seth Emmons from Leitz. We have Aaron Norberg from Sigma. And Jean-Marc Bouchou from ZEISS. And they've got lots of new exciting products to tell us about. So I'm going to let them start telling you about it, and let's start with Daniel.
Hi, my name is Daniel Band, president at BandPro, and the distributor for Angénieux. With the new 65mm sensor craze, we now have the EZ2 and 3 available for 65mm. It's got a 60mm image circle, and this one is a 27-72 in 65, which is originally from the 15-40 in Super 35. It is T36, and it looks great. We got the EZ3 in our booth, and then we have the 24-290, which has been expanded to 65 in the Sony booth. So if anybody wants to see that, you can go check that out over there.
Art Adams.
That was so fast. Do I have to be that fast?
Waste everybody's time.
All right. Art Adams, product manager for lenses at ARRI, and I brought a 10.5mm Enzo. This is fairly new. We're now shipping all of our Enzos, and this was one of the last that we devised. The other one is the 250. The 250 has a 1.4 and a 2x extender, so you get a 350 and a 500 out of it as well. This 10.5 is really interesting because it's really wide, but it doesn't feel overly wide. It's fairly well corrected for distortion, but not overly so, because if you go too far, then you get some weird stretchy artifacts at the edges. And we actually let this one be a little sloppier than we would normally do, because it just felt better and looked better. But we anticipate this is going to be a very popular lens. We have a lot of orders for it already. And of course, this is from the Enzo family, 14 lenses, and they all have magnetic net holders on the back that can be swapped out for rear optics. And we make rear optics for these and for signatures that do over and under corrected spherical aberration and some coma and some astigmatism. And we're going to be working on some more stuff, flares and multiple elements and things like that. So yeah, if the signatures are the new master prime, these are the new ultra primes.
Hey everyone, I'm Paul Hochshurst from Canon USA, senior technical specialist out of New York. And I couldn't bring my lens with us, but we have a new Cine Servo lens, the 40-1200. It's a fairly large lens, coming about 14 pounds. It's a kind of follow-up to a popular lens of ours that was the 50-1000. But yeah, in order to see it, you gotta come to our booth and check it out. It's just too big to bring here now. But 40-1200 Again, it's a lot of call for it now as the wildlife and sports really got into that 50 to 1,000 and the size of it and what you get out of it. This new version, though, comes in RF mount and PL mount, whereas the previous version was EF and PL. What the RF mount version allows us to do is to have autofocus on our cameras with it. So it's 40 to 1200 with autofocus. It's pretty cool to see. Come check it out. I'm going to pass it on.
Scott?
Yep. Hi, everyone. I'm Scott Testerman. I'm the technical marketing manager for Fujifilm. Last year, we brought the 32 to 90, which was purpose-built for GFX to turn at 55, but we didn't have full details at that time until launch in November of last year, but now it's fully available. It's a T3.5 with a close focus of 2 feet and 8 inches. It's full servo zoom, servo focus, iris, and zoom. And it has optical image stabilization as well. It's native G-mount, and it was built, again, specifically for a turn of 55. In addition to that, just recently we have announced some newer broadcast optics. So we just released the 22 by 4.8, which is one of the wider B4 2/3 inch lenses that we've released. In addition to that, we announced the development of the 94 by 8.7. That's a box lens for 2/3 inch and B4. That'll be coming later this fall. And then next year, there'll be a couple of other portable zooms, a UA 30 by 7.3 and a UA 16 by 4. That'll be coming later next year.
Stephen?
Yeah, Stephen from Laowa Lenses. I didn't bring any of my samples. What I've got mostly zooms of 25 to 600 millimeter, big telephoto long zoom. We've got our probe zoom in the booth. We've got a macro zoom, a 1:1 through 5:1. That's a parfocal fixed working distance, fisheye zoom, whole bunch of other stuff. And then on the other end of the spectrum, seeing the 65 and the 55 here, we've got a bunch of ultra-wide little tiny lenses for the new GoPro, right? So we make a bunch of micro four thirds lenses, right? The conversation of 65, we're going to go to the opposite end of the spectrum, interchangeable lens 1-inch sensor. So yeah, we've got lots and lots of fun different things.
Seth?
Hi, I'm Seth Emmons with Leitz Cine. I'm the Director of Communications, occasional reserve midfielder as well when we have tournaments. I am bringing two things that are new today, new to Cine Gear, at least we haven't introduced them in this panel before. One is our Hector series of mirrorless primes. It's a 6-lens set that's designed with interchangeable mounts for Sony, Canon, Nikon, Fuji, Blackmagic, everybody. So we have interchangeable mounts for everybody. They are manual lenses, but they're designed to replicate some of the image characteristics of 1950s Leica rangefinder glass. So they're a little flarier, they're a little bit more fall off, they're a little messier, but you have all the mechanical benefits of a modern lens. The other thing that I brought is not a lens, but it works with lenses, and this is our mount for the new Sony Rialto 65 camera. So we're a technology partner for Sony, and we developed the first LPL mount, and then we also have a PL adapter. It allows metadata pass through and makes that camera with one mount system compatible with almost every lens that's out there to be purchased or rented from this stage.
Aaron?
Hey, my name's Aaron. I'm the technical support manager for Sigma America. Our most recent releases today are going to be the new autofocus Cine Zooms. What's kind of cool about those is they're true hybrid Cine lenses. So they're 35 millimeter full frame. We have the 28 to 45 T2 and the 28 to 105 T3. They give you all of the control and the precision of a manual mechanical Cine lens when you want to pull focus manually. You have 200-degree focus throw, linear focus response, but you also have the ability, if you need or want to let the camera run autofocus. So if you're in that space where you need to do a little bit of both, you can do both well with one lens without having to run two different lens sets or the compromise of trying to pull focus with a photo lens. We will also have some more lenses joining the more kind of traditional manual mechanical lens line with the iZoo primes coming out later this fall.
And before we get to Jean-Marc, I'd just like to point out that we're actually shooting our close-ups with the 28 to 105
And we love to see
Sigma. Jean-Marc, you have some pretty interesting developments. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so I'm Jean-Marc Boucher, head of cinema sales for ZEISS America. A lot of innovation for ZEISS this year. Start chronologically. At my primes were introduced at BSC Expo a few months ago. So it's a set of 9 lenses covering full frame, modern mechanics, but we use the kind of DNA of some legacy lenses that people like the super speed, to really enhance some look, some texture, some very rich bokeh in order to be more creative. So these lenses are very fast, T1.5, covering full frame, and just very homogeneous from the widest one, 18, to more like tele one, 135. Beautiful optics. We just started shipping them a few weeks ago. And yeah, let's try and stop at a booth to look at them. The second series we released recently, the Panopti 65. We all know that the new cameras are coming with a larger sensor, the 65mm sensors, with the introduction of the cameras last year, the Etana from Fujinon, the Ursa 17, and now the new Sony 65 Rialto. So we wanted to address that market that's probably going to grow in the next months and years. So we came with a set of 10 lenses, Panopti 65, covering the 65mm format, fast T22 for all of them, and giving kind of nice pristine look of just kind of recent lenses like the Supreme Primes. And the latest one, kind of big innovation, anamorphic lenses called Horizon. What's innovative is first the coverage of the format. It's a full frame coverage, which is new for us, but also with a 2x squeeze. So very kind of strong anamorphic look, like more of a legacy look, which kind of very creative for your project. But also we integrated motors into the lens. So adding some features like that really will help the production, will help the setup of a lens, will kind of simplify what's around the camera, make the camera package lighter, but also more reliable, because we don't have to trust additional motors that may flip out of the camera. You can swap a lens from one focal length to another in less than 1 minute. So it's a set of 7 lenses at the end, fast aperture, T2.3 for most of them, except the 200mm, which is T2.9. And yeah, we have 3 lenses on our booth, so please come and check them. You'll be pretty impressed with the way they perform and the way they operate.
That's what I'm talking about. That new one. It's pretty interesting, all the things that you're packing into
A lot of new things. So
Yeah.
we try to cover a lot of ground. So
it's a good example of how electronics are coming into cinema glass, and that seems to be a trend. There's a growing cross-pollination between cine and broadcast, and part of that is bringing those things like to have the mechanical motors built into the lens. And Scott, your lenses, you have a zoom built into it, right? And tell us a little bit more about that, about how your broadcast history from Fujifilm is working its way into the Cine lenses.
So everything that went into the Premista line is built into this lens as well. But in addition to that, because it's a GF lens for our GFX system, including Eterna, that's where all of the motors that are built in. So it's a fly-by-wire system. So you can control focus, iris, or zoom via GFX Eterna 55's 2 multifunction knobs that are built onto the camera. And what that allows you to do as an owner-operator or as a single operator is to control focus on one and the iris or the zoom on the other, vice versa, however you would like, as well as the variable ND that's built into the camera. All of those can be controlled by the multifunction knobs, and this was built to take advantage of that. So in addition, it is geared, so you could use external focus systems or other fizz systems to control it as well. So we built it with that in mind so that any end user, whether they have their own their own focus kits, or if they want to control it via the internal motors, they can.
Yep. So it's a big investment in any of these lenses, and we need to be able to control our look, but we might not want to invest in a set of lenses that's only going to have one look. So I think, Art, you have an interesting idea with the rear mount lenses to change the look. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, that's something we've been working on for a little while. We have rear optics that will basically change the look of the lens either into kind of something along the lines of a portrait lens, which is undercorrected spherical aberration, and then we have another set of optics that will do overcorrected and give you the donut bokeh and the traditional kind of. Oh, well, thank you. Here, let me do this. There. And the idea is that because these lenses are so precisely tuned, we can do a lot to trip them up on the back element. We're looking at doing some more stuff. We've been doing some research over the last couple of years, and I think we're ready to start moving forward, but we've tried combining multiple elements. We've created some interesting flare elements. We're looking at combining diffusion with some of these, and just generally trying to come up with some new sets beyond just the core sets that we have right now for signatures and for Enzos that will allow for more flexibility. I think we're probably going to do flares first because those seem to be pretty popular, and we have some interesting ideas. So, yeah, we'll see what we can rustle up.
Now, Seth, you've been on the large sensor train for quite a while. Tell us about 65 and what are the advantage of it?
Yeah, so since ARRI first got out there with the Alexa 65, now the 265, there weren't a lot of lenses in the market for that format because there just wasn't a commercially available camera per se in that format for digital until then. So we were one of the early people to partner with ARRI to develop our Talia lenses, which are 65 format. It's a set of 11 lenses from 20 to 180, and they're based on Leica's S medium format glass. So they come from Leica's portraiture medium format heritage, and we've got a couple interesting lenses in there, including 3 macros, 24, 55, and 120. But yeah, it's a format that, you know, we've seen a lot of work already on it. But what I think is interesting coming forward is how we're now seeing different sensor shapes and sizes. So ARRI obviously has the very large widescreen one. Sony's new one is quite tall, Fuji as well. So I think we're about to see a bit of a new era of people trying to storytell with these new cameras and sensors, and obviously we have our lenses already out there, and there's a lot more coming, especially, you know, from the people on this panel as well. So I think it's a format that has a history to it, but also has quite a future to it.
Stephen, we heard that ZEISS has a new anamorphic, but you've had tons of anamorphic. Can you keep bringing anamorphic models out? Tell us some of the range that you have. What's your latest one?
Yeah, so the most recent anamorphic is going to be our Sunlight 2x squeeze full frame coverage zooms. So, yeah, but otherwise we've got Super 35, zoom, primes, running the full gamut. And even today, I'm not going to leak too much here, but if you come over to the booth, there are a couple of lenses that I did not know existed with some of the spherical aberration control built in and some other stuff that, like, yeah, that we are playing around with the look of the lens in those anamorphics as well.
You guys come up with a new model every couple of weeks. It seems like it's hard for me to keep up.
Yeah. right there in the crowd is Mr. Lee. He's our founder and lead lens designer.
Paul, your company has a background in broadcast lenses and now Cine Lenses. And tell us more about that marriage.
Yeah, I mean, where you really see that marriage, of course, is the Cine Servo line of lenses that we've created. And essentially, you know, we have just this whole series came from this idea of wanting to shoot, Super 35 millimeter size, projects with, the ability of broadcast lenses. And well, most broadcast lenses can't cover that. They can't cover that. So that's just where both Fujinon and Canon kind of came up with the idea to extend that range and extend that sensor size for these lenses. And so that's going really, really well for us. So we just introduced the 11 to 55, which is kind of really on the wide end. It was something that Steadicam operators were asking for us to extend that range for there. And the other side, again, the 40 to 1200. So it's a huge range of lenses that you can really get into with that. But one thing that we've kind of only like a little bit dipped into the full cinema side of things here and there. Of course, years and years ago, there was the K35s, of course, which I dared even talk about because I can't get a set. So, but lately we've had the CNE primes, the Sumire primes, as well. But we do have a set of lenses that I truly love called the Flex Zooms, and they are both a full frame and Super 35 cinema zoom set. The Super 35 one is T1.7 all the way through. The full frame is T2.4 all the way through. And they actually have swappable relay lenses, much like the Angénieux Yeezys in a way, but swappable relay lenses so that you can change between the Super 35 and full frame coverage. And we've had these out for a little bit, but I just love talking about them. Please try them out. I'm going to keep pushing them forever and ever.
And they're fast.
Yeah. And they're kind of just a joy to use as well.
Yeah, so that's a good point for versatility. And as you said, Angénieux has been doing that for a while. Tell us more about how you make versatile lenses by changing the backs.
So the Easy 1, 2, and 3 can be swapped from Super 35 to full frame, but the 65 versions cannot be. They will be stuck in 65, and the reason is because you can't really just expand a zoom lens unless you want to lose the parfocality. So I will say these are some of the only parfocal lenses, zoom lenses available for 65 millimeter sensors. So it's not like a prime lens where you could just throw an expander on it and go to town. It really is quite difficult. So the Easy 2, 3, and the 24 to 290 are parfocal on 65. But you cannot swap between the formats on those.
Aaron, as these sensor sizes get bigger, I mean, it used to be, to me anyway, autofocus was a dirty word. But as the sensors get bigger, we need all the help we can get. And you're making cinema lenses now that have autofocus, like the one that's helping you keep staying focused at the moment on your close-up. Tell us about that.
As I'm not the only, but a manufacturer that kind of straddles both worlds with the photo and cine markets, we've always tried to keep a link between those two. And the autofocus cine line that's coming out now, this is the second of the two lenses to kind of rebridge those two families. We've always tried to leverage what we've learned in one world to benefit the other. And we kind of started that link back in 2016 when we first entered this world. I mean, we were historically a photo manufacturer. That's kind of where our roots, where we're based. And when we entered the cine world with the high speeds, which I'm sure a lot of people have some experience with, those lenses were based off of the optical designs of our art series DSLR lenses. And the 28 to 45, 28 to 105, the autofocus cine zooms that we're kind of debuting now, they have kind of the same heritage. They're based off of the optical designs of the some of the DN autofocus photo lenses, the 28 to 45 f1.8 art and the 28 to 105 art zooms, and being able to leverage what we're learning in the photo space and bringing that experience, those successes into the video space, it just helps us to kind of, make that connection make sense of what we've learned over the last 10 years, improving our optics in the photo space to make better lenses, better autofocus performance, and more flexible designs for video as well. What's made that really possible in a way that we couldn't have done in the DSLR days is that focus by wire design. getting that hybrid kind of autofocus approach with the HSM lenses that were physically coupled, it would have been a lot more difficult. You would have had either much bigger compromises in one way or the other. It would have been really slow autofocus for the photographers to be able to accomplish that. But being able to kind of physically separate the motors from the ring has allowed us to just really fine-tune the response in this use case. So having a little bit of experience in both worlds has made tailoring the response in this use case for the video housing has allowed that to make sense in a way that we couldn't have done back then.
Jean-Marc, ARRI, Art from ARRI, told us about the rear element and having unique looks that he can change. But you're also planning to do that with your New Horizon anamorphics. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, correct. The lens, the design we had from the base is a pretty, clean look in a way of having a little bit less distortion on more classic anamorphic. So we know that people sometimes want to have something a little bit more funky, a little bit more kind of crazy in terms of aberration and distortion. So we are designing what we are calling a look set. So basically a rear group attached to the mount that can be swappable easily, just removing this 8 screw, holding the mount and putting the new rear group. So the advantage of having integrated electronic, you won't have to recalibrate your focus scale. Automatically, the lens will recognize there is a new group in the back and will swift the scale, and so you have a lens fully operating in less than 5 minutes. So it's something that we feel that, of course, when we talk to some people, we say, oh, can I do it in the field? Probably not. A lens technician at a local rental will do the work, bake the look into the lens, and the full production will go with that look, or maybe one specific lens that needs that look. But the lens will be easy, swappable, and operating very quickly with a simple swap of a rear group.
Interesting concepts. Matt, what are your questions?
My question, we just touched on it multiple times. Clearly this year, the trend is 65. I don't think anyone will argue that. It's been the hot button topic for every lens manufacturer. Last year, that trend was very heavily vintage, character, etc. And pretty much everybody up here has dabbled in the sort of detuned space with a vintage-inspired option. And this is a question for anyone that wants to jump in, do you see a benefit to committing to a specific look, or are we going to continue to see it's sharp but not too sharp, and it's soft but not too soft? Anyone who wants to take that one?
All right.
Jean-Marc.
We are engineers, we are lens manufacturers, so we try to approach that not as our own design, but talking to cinematographer, to rental house, and try to understand exactly what's the trend. 20 years ago, when I was in a different company, we were pushing our engineers to make things sharp and or even over sharp, because it was at the time of film or even digital camera were not as kind of pristine as they are today. So when we kind of designed the Supreme Prime, we tried to make them a little bit kind of like not over sharp like, the Master Prime, but with a little bit of texture. But, we had people asking us about the different look, and the different look started with a radiance. And now, of course, our super speed becoming very popular, used all the time with, Alexa 35, for example. We thought that there was a need also to build something more modern, more homogeneous, more creative with a, full frame look. And that's why we came with the Atma Primes. At the same time, if we talk about 65, the 65 is a new format. Of course, the availability of having a new format with a larger image circle give the cinematographer a little bit more freedom in terms of composition of their shot. having a wide-angle lens, which become, instead of having a 12 millimeter, for example, in Super 55, you are not 25 plus, give you also the way of creating a shot without having this kind of strong distortion or physical distortion you have with a super wide lens. So I'm sure the cinematographer will use that format for specific shots, for specific look. We are not the one who are teaching the cinematographer. If they want this kind of crazy look like you have on some other kind of a project, more baroque look, you have to use a wide angle lens with distortion. But maybe you put the lens with kind of like a little bit more telephoto, larger format, and you can create something new and something interesting for the story.
Well, you made me think of something because you talked about the differences between film and digital for lenses. And we always used film lenses when we first started going to larger formats in digital. But what about going the other way around? Because film is starting to have a big resurgence. How will these new lenses work on film cameras?
It's an interesting problem because when you design a lens for a digital system, you're basically designing it not just for the sensor that's capturing it, but also the body of the camera that's capturing it. And with film, where you have a spinning mirror, you have issues with depth behind the mount. We've gotten really used to being able to protrude past and through the mount, and we are a big violator of
mirrorless.
that. So is Art, even though he set the mount standard. Yeah. But we ran into an interesting issue this year where our LC primes, which are LPL mount primes designed for digital cinematography, we had a DP named Chivo who wanted to use them on a film, but he wanted to shoot digital and film simultaneously and on a VistaVision film camera. And the issue was not just that they needed to be panavized to go on the camera, but we had to deal with the mirror. So we actually had to rebuild the wide angle one to accommodate the mirror because our wide angle one, the body of it, was impacting where the mirror was going to be. So there, some lenses are totally fine. Like the Summoluxes, they use them on Succession. They're PL mount, they're right there. But some of the digital stuff now, we're in a place where we have to either re-engineer it to get back to film, or it's just not going to work at all.
Well, if Chivo wants it.
Do what he wants,
So to some degree, you've almost backed yourselves into a corner.
In a way, yeah. But it also gives an opportunity to do something a little bit creative and try to solve problems in a slightly different way too. But yeah, there's also a lot of film lenses out there. I mean, some of the rental houses here would probably be happy for us to not build any more film-based lenses.
I'm going to jump in on sort of both of the questions, the film and the look versus changes over time. And right to that point is everything that has existed still exists. So going forward, we're going to see new and different and options. And certainly that's where Laowa fits, is new idea, new fun. We're not going to make another version of another lens. We're going to try and come up with something different. The flange distance conversation. I'm a huge proponent of that shallow flange distance because from an optical designer's standpoint, you have control over the light so much further. If there's no mirror box, if there's no, that gap, the chromatic aberration and other issues that you run into, you can control those so much better. You can get faster apertures, larger iris, there's so many things that you can do with that. It does limit on the ability to use those optics with film cameras, but old glass is still out there. So,
Did you have another question, or should we go to the audience?
Where would you go if you wanted to get that old glass serviced?
Duclos?
There we go. I'm sorry, I had to.
I'd get my new glass serviced at Duclos as well.
That mostly answered my question, but so I guess in summary, there's a benefit to having a super crisp, super accurate, corrected lens, but at the same time, you're saying many of you will also offer the tools that the creatives need to achieve their vision. Is that fair to say?
Yeah,
courses,
I
different
think what
courses.
we have seen when we design the Atma, for example, The first thing it was to convince our engineers to make something not too clean, which is difficult. You know, German engineer, they want to reach 80% of MTF, and if it's 79, they are like frustrated. So we say, no, go to 75, and okay. So we kind of work a lot with them to show some example. But the main difference, if you take a set of, let's say, super speed, the DNA of these lenses versus the Atma, is really the homogeneity of the full set. Super speed, it's 5 lenses. You know, the 25 look one way, the 35 look a little bit different, the 50 look a little bit different. When we build these lenses from scratch with a modern design, optical design, modern computing for optics, we were able to really match these lenses. Because in the 1970s, when people were designing this, super speed, let's say, they had like a computer that were not as powerful. They were trying to make their best, but lenses were not all over the place, but close, but still. Right now, there is almost no variation. So we are really kind of building a set that's very homogeneous, that really will save time in post-production, keep the look through the whole set.
Just to add to that, that's why I always tell people that if they rent any vintage lenses from a rental house and you like the lens, write down the serial number, because those batches were all different back then. So another one of the same model of the same focal length may not look exactly like the one that you ended up using on your job. So just something to say.
Good point.
That's a fantastic point. And to add to that even more, not only did they not necessarily come off the assembly line the same, but who knows what they've been through over the past 20, 30, 50 years.
I mean, I think we can see that with people trying to get their K35 sets together.
Exactly.
Right? You know?
K35s and FDs alike, they're not going to be the same.
All right, so we've done really good keeping it concise, and we have some time for audience questions, luckily. I'm going to ask you to speak up, and then we're going to repeat the question so that we get it, so everybody can hear it and we get it recorded. So who has a question? Nancy. Nancy Schreiber, ASC. Who's working on anamorphics?
I cannot comment on our future roadmap.
Oh, that's a good hint.
I would love for us to build some anamorphics. I doubt it's going to happen, but I would love for it to happen.
There are still more coming from Laowa.
next week and the week after.
I would like to say that when I went to the ZEISS factory in Oberkochen about 12 years ago, I was pitching that they should make an anamorphic instead of not the, they have one of the best ones out there, the original ones that they did with ARRI.
Master.
But I said the master anamorphics. But I said, well, anamorphics don't have to be perfect. Couldn't you just dummy it up a little bit and come up with something that? No, they had to be perfect. All these years later, I don't think it was my suggestion. But. Another question? Yes, sir. I'm in your boat, and I am concerned. Who wants to take that one?
I mean, I think the answer is, if you're going to use it, it's the right lens for you. Whatever you need it for, whatever is going to solve your problem, is the best investment for you. I think that investing in your work is much more reliable than investing speculatively into what might the trends be going forward. So,
good point.
Well said.
Yeah, if the lens delivers the look that you're after, it doesn't matter what someone else says you need to shoot with. If it's doing what you need to do, it's the right tool for what you're trying to do. Don't worry about what other people are telling you.
Al Gonzalez?
I'm curious about your film. It does everything now, right? So I don't need an AC to help me with making the...
Oh, don't say that with the room full of camera people.
I'm not going to get caught in that trap. No, so what this does, right, is that it allows you to have choice and decision about what type of production you're going to be on. If this is an owner-operator, there's autofocus. There's that ability to. But with, just like GFX 255 has multiple screens on it to be able to control the operator or assistant side, you can still run it as an owner-operator or run it with a full crew. That's the idea behind all of this, is that there's always going to be an option for you. And that goes for all of us here, is that there's always an option. And it's part of the beauty of everything that's been designed and shown up here.
Yes, sir. He would like to know about optical engineering secrets and flange distance.
Well, I think flange distance, as Seth say, when you move the rear of the lens close to the sensor, you have more freedom of building a lens more powerful. You know, we all have cell phone with basically the optical element is right in front of the sensor, and these lenses are very good. A lot of things are kind of coming from the glass by itself. There's not a lot of kind of software behind, because you make a lens that's just very powerful, putting the lens right in front of the sensor. So shorting the flange distance, as we kind of all know, this 52 millimeter plus was designed for film camera and with mirrors. So now we don't have a mirror. So let's move close to the sensor. Photography has moved from DSLR to mirrorless. And that means that your lens that used to be 500 gram, 1 pound plus is becoming like lighter for the same performance. So it will help everything. It will help making lens easier to use, faster, with more characteristic for sure.
I'd like to go down the line now as we get towards the end, and starting with Daniel. What do you see for the future? What can you tell us anyway that is coming?
I think we're seeing a bit of a trend right now where people have had some fun with vintage optics but are dealing with the intricacies of sets not matching and, focus being hard to pull or expansion reducing the quality of the lens. And then the amount of time that is stressed on sets, I just feel like we're seeing a trend of zooms coming back as like one of the popular things. So that's just what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I think as productions become more time sensitive and budget sensitive, messing around with anything that slows you down is probably not ideal. I talked to one DP a little while ago. We were talking about vintage elements or vintage optics, and he said, I love them. I think they're cool, but when I'm shooting TV, at least once a day, they will back me into a corner I can't get myself out of. So I've kind of seen a trend. I have this game I play with myself when I watch a TV show or movie. I'll wait about 10 minutes, and then I'll pull up IMDb on my phone and try to figure out if I guessed the right lenses. And more I'm seeing that some of the cleaner optics are coming back, which is kind of interesting. But I don't know. These things go they go in waves. I do feel though like vintage optics were going up and up and up for such a long time, and now they're kind of coming down the other side. But it's a very slow process. But it does seem like we are moving back towards the clean side of things.
On our side, I really think that, what we're seeing is because there's so many options now, there's just so much, we're burdened by it, that I think we're just trying to create things unique, even like one little attribute of the lens that's unique. So I think for Canon, it's like pushing the focal length, right? Wider, longer. And we're really concentrating a lot on our RF lenses and in the still side. So create, like I said, we're talking about the telecentricity of mirrorless cameras allowing you to get closer. It's not just about making the lenses, lighter like that. You can create some wacky, focal lengths and some wacky lenses out of that. So I think for me, it's really about, just discovering weird combinations of focal length and iris and everything like that, and coming up with just a strange lens. At least that's what I like. So
I think it's interesting that last year when we were at this panel, one of the questions that you asked about the future was, what do we see the large format thing? And there was this dearth of lenses that covered it. And now all of a sudden we've seen the explosion happen. Just even today at our booth, I have tons of other lenses as well that cover large format. So for me, it's just, we see this trend of the large format stuff, but that doesn't take away from the Super 35 elements. It doesn't take away from the broadcast optics. It's just that we've now got this breadth of options to choose from. I think it's more of an exciting time for everyone to know that there's just so much choice out there for all of us.
Yeah, I'll follow and reiterate right there of options, and like there are more options in variety to be able to find your look and then in a set to be able to have that look match across every shot. The future is just continuing to grow more options, but also the hybrid, right? The idea that cine and broadcast and photo are all very different worlds. The last 15 years we've seen continuing to converge, and then even the broadcast and cine sort of a hyper convergence in the last couple years. So it's that those are going to continue, but with more and more options to tell the story you're trying to tell with the look you're trying to make.
So yeah, the last three guys have really hit one of the main points, which is the diversity of options out there. It's following also on the diversity of formats. So, we're talking about 65. We didn't talk about verticals, which is a whole other format thing that's going on right now. The content creator market. You just turn your camera 90 degrees, Matthew. It's easy.
Is that it? That's all you have to do?
That's it. That's all. No. But seriously though, there's all these other formats, and what we're seeing, I think, what used to be a very homogenous kind of approach to storytelling and filmmaking is now splintering, and so it has presented many format options. We are now supplied with a dearth, I love that word, of like lens options and things for all these formats. But one thing that is like also consistently happening right now that is a big impact is budgets. And budgets are continually getting pushed down. And that's why a lot of these tools, the smaller lenses, the smaller cameras, are finding their way into this bigger filmmaking economy and ecosystem. And I think that's something that will continue too. I don't expect to see, the wild heydays of the early Netflix era where price was no option despite bad story sometimes. So I think we're going to continue to see the budget dictate some of this as well, where, to make the economy of manufacturing work, you have to meet the market where it's at. And that's one of the big controlling factors right now.
Kind of following up on the general trend, more options. As these formats and ecosystems get more and more dense, the individual brands too are going to be working more and more to try to differentiate themselves to stand out in this endless growing sea of options, to try to speak to what makes them different, what makes their look different, what makes what they're bringing to you different. There's no end of options, and what's been made isn't going away either. Like, it just continues to build and build and build, which is incredible for us as image makers. There's never been a better time. You have more choices now than ever. So how do you pick from all of that? So just trying to differentiate from the look that we can help you deliver and help to empower you to tell your stories.
Yeah, well, I'm going to try. Difficult to be the last one,
Yeah,
but
to be
yeah,
the
I
last
agree.
one.
We have different format, vertical. We all know that IMAX has been booming in the past years, with larger formats. So it makes sense that people want to have this immersive experience. Makes sense that to have a 65 trend right now, and with more democratization of a 65, because in the past it used to be film or Alexa 65 or Alexa 265, which were pretty expensive package. So with the Eterna, with Ursa, with a new Sony, there will be kind of an opening for that format. And one of the things we kind of are proud of at ZEISS is also reliability of our optics. We know that when you are in a set, if something breaks, you are stressed. So we try to build lenses not only for the look, but also for the fact that they are really working well and they are not breaking during the set. So,
And they're going to last a long time. That's a big part of investment too.
yeah.
Do you have any final thoughts, Matt?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay. Well, with that, it's been a tough year for our business and in Hollywood in particular. And I really appreciate all these companies that are represented here because they all support Digital Cinema Society, help keep us going. Thank you, guys. And thank you for coming to speak.
Jim, thank you for putting this together every year.
Thank you very much. Okay, by name, we have Art Adams, we have Daniel Band here, Paul Huxhurst, Scott Testerman, Stephen Neff, Seth Emmons, Aaron Norberg, Jean-Marc Bouchou. I don't know why I had to read that. I know all these guys. And thank you very much, Matt Duclos. Thank you guys for coming. And I also want to thank our volunteer crew. And that includes Cameron Cannon up here on the close-up camera, which is pretty tough. John Tucker back there. Christopher Nell, who watches the camera and also records the sound. And thank you to Cine Gear for allowing us to have this every year. And thank you guys for coming. That'll do it.